Hey everybody, thanks for watching another episode of An Encouraging Word here. I want to encourage all of you parents, those of you that are out there with kids and you're developing them and training them and teaching them. One of the key ingredients to a child's life is teaching them to learn to hear the voice of God. So all of you parents that hear God, you hear God's voice, you hear him regularly. Teach your kids to do the same thing. Help them to understand that God speaking to them is a regular part of the believer's walk. And kids believe it, man, and they will start hearing God clearly and knowing and understanding his voice. So teach your kids to do this. If you regularly have God dreams and God encounters, teach your kids to experience the same thing. Explain what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're hearing, what you're encountering, and say this is for you too, because it is. Encourage your kids to talk with God regularly, especially before bedtime. This is what I do and have done with my kids. And they're in there praying, talking to God. They're expecting to hear something, expecting to encounter him. Teach them to ask God and then wait for him to respond. Teach them to call on his name, then wait for him to speak. Teach them to listen to the Lord twice as much as they speak to him. Teach them how much he loves them and wants them to know him personally and intimately. Every prayer request that God answers for kids causes their faith to grow and move them from glory to glory. So teach them to expect God to speak. Teach them to expect God to answer prayers, and teach them that he loves them and he's in their corner and he's always moving on their behalf. His voice is always good. Remember this, his voice is always good. It's peaceful, joyful, loving, faithful, hopeful, and encouraging. Other voices do not carry this weight of anointing and goodness on them. Even our own does not. But God's voice carries the anointing and carries his goodness in all of these ways just described. And it's really awesome. Our children must experience for themselves and learn to recognize the voice of the Lord. Expecting this of our God and our children creates an environment for exponential spiritual growth, even as they're kids. Takes them on into high school, takes them on into college. They'll make it through because they know how to hear God. Take them into adulthood, and they'll produce children that can do the same thing. So teach your kids to hear God and be blessed in that. We thank you for listening.